Welcome to Two Guys, Three Crowns, the podcast that talks about what it's really like to live in Stockholm, Sweden. I'm Sean, and with my fellow American Rodney, we break down the good, the bad, and the just plain weird. It's quite the journey, so join us for the ride.
Blame it all on my roots. I showed up in boots and ruined your black tie affair.
Ooh-wee.
The last one to know, the last one to show. I was the last one you thought you'd see here. And I saw the surprise and the fear in his eyes when I took his glass of champagne. And I toasted you, said, honey, we may be through, but you'll never hear me complain. Woo! Oh, I got friends in low place. Sorry, I had to, I don't know, there's.
Oh, man, going old school country.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of hankering for like some country music. I don't know.
You know, right in the middle of that, I'm like, now, what are the words to Old Country Road again? Which remix was that?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, every once in a while, but for some reason, I just had to, and everybody have to excuse me. I know that there's some parts of that song that were slightly off. But anyway, yeah, I just had to get some country out of it. Had to get some country out of there. Yeehaw.
Hee-haw, yeehaw.
Yeah. So, Sean, I'm gonna start right off the bat. And it's not really a gripe. Well, I mean, it's kind of a gripe, I guess.
Here we go. I like it already. This is going to be a good episode already. Rodney's coming in hot.
Okay.
With some ranting.
Okay. Well, and this is the first time that this has ever happened to me, and I guess it was just a matter of time, and it put things into a different perspective. So about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, I bought something, and it's a gimbal. And for people that don't know what a gimbal is, it stabilizes. Like, you can put your phone on it, and they have you can put your GoPro camera, and it's basically a handle, and it holds the camera steady or the phone steady. So you get this really professional feel, when you move it around, and the gimbal.
Like, you could be holding it so it's sticking out equal to the horizon, parallel to the horizon, and then move your hand up and down, and the camera will stay still.
Exactly.
In professional terms, it's also called Steadicam.
Ooh, Steadicam, gimbal,
gimbal.
Yeah.
Well, Steadicam, I think it absorbs shakes as well when you're walking. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I went ahead and purchased one of these a while back for my iPhone. And I've used it a little bit and did some things, but I've had it kind of waiting in the wings. I'm like, eventually I'm going to dive in there and I'm going to use this thing.
Rodney's next gadget.
Yeah. So I think it was this morning. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take it out. Take the gimbal out. I'm going to get my new phone. The iPhone has like this 4K video stuff, and I'm like, now I get to really test this out. So I go in and I'm looking for the app that you use to connect this gimbal to the camera so that you can control stuff with it. And as I'm going through my app list, it's this little app, and it's called, I think it's called Free Vision, or that might be the name of the company. But regardless, I can't find the app. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just go in the app store and I'll download it again, right? Simple. So I go into the app store, I start typing it in, and nothing comes up. And I'm like, okay. So I switch between stores. I go to the App Store Sweden. I go to the App Store USA. I'm thinking, okay, it might be a weird thing.
Wait, hold on a second. How did you do that? How'd you go to the App Store USA?
Okay, I'm going to have to
You must have an American credit card in your back
I'm going to have
pocket.
to take the fifth on that. Tomato.
Rodney and his
Anyway,
VPNs.
So right. But so I go in and I can't find this app anywhere. And I'm like, what's going on? So I go in and I do a quick Google search, and I'm in there looking for the thing, and it's not popping up anywhere. And this is it was a nice gimbal. I mean, it's a really nice looking piece of equipment.
Yeah, it's not like something you ordered off of Wish on discount.
No, not at all. I mean, it was a legitimate thing. And when I used it originally, it was great. You could do like 360-degree pictures where you click this button and it just like it kind of like spun around and did all this stuff. But anyway, so I can't find the app. I go in and I look for it, and I go to the company's website.
Right.
And it says error loading. It's an error finding the website. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. So I go to Facebook and I look for the company on Facebook. Nada. I go to Insta. Nothing. Yeah. So the company's gone. There's no app. And I'm just sitting here playing with my gimbal.
But it's a functioning gimbal, so you could push play on the video and then just use it as a manual gimbal.
Absolutely.
It just doesn't have the Bluetooth controls.
Absolutely. So it doesn't connect. It doesn't have all the fancy settings and the, follow you and stuff.
I can tell you from the early days of selfie sticks.
Right.
That stuff all breaks apart in the first 6 months anyway. Like the buttons stop working and all that. So you're saving yourself some headaches there.
But I mean, it seemed like a legitimate company. I mean, they had a good product. The thing is really well made and stuff. But just to have it all of a sudden disappear, like there was no trace. The only thing I found was a Facebook group. And when you go into the Facebook group, it's just a long list of people that have written, hey, does anybody know what happened to this company? Hey, where did the app go? Hey, so it's basically
and then the rest of them are like, hey, I make $1,000 a day on day trading in Bitcoin.
What? Yeah. And I mean, and half of the entries you have to like press translate because people got screwed all over the world, in every language. There were people complaining. My Spanish and my Italian aren't that good, but some of the words that were popping up in this chat I was like, oh yeah.
Anytime you see mothers or blood or anything, then it's real bad.
Unbelievable. But so that was the first time that I've experienced that, where a company just completely, and I can see online companies with applications and stuff like that, but this physical product, this. So we'll see. And then there was one guy that snuck in a comment. He's like, hey, I think this other application works with it. And that thing was like $15. I was like,
then you look him up on LinkedIn. He's like the director of sales for that company.
Exactly. He's like got his own little side thing happening. But and I suspect, stuff like that will happen again in the future. But it was the first time that I'd just seen a company up and out like that. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're doing like the Instagram shopping, you got to be careful for that kind of thing. You got to be like, because any company I search stuff on my computer, like my laptop,
right.
And then because one account is joined to the other, then it's dropped a cookie and it can see the cookie on my phone somehow, and then I've got all the ads showing up on Instagram on my phone, and it's just like, I don't know about you.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I told you about my experience when I bought that. It's outdoor light, and it was an Instagram purchase. It was like this rechargeable. You just mount it to the side of the wall, and it's motion activated. I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. And look how cheap it is. Not that made me suspicious. But yeah, of course, you pay for it and then something doesn't show up. I think it was a month and a half later, I start doing my little online detective work, and, it's a company in the Netherlands, with that's a subsidiary of a company in
reputable,
Germany.
Right? Oh, it's from the Netherlands. Come on.
Yeah. Well, that's, but
I think our most famous, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, our most famous like scam product. And it looked so real, looked legit. And I've seen other people manage to get this thing to work. It was a blow-up chair.
Oh.
Well, quote-unquote chair. It's like a long tube.
Okay,
and you're supposed to be able to shake it. And then get the air inside and then roll it up and then somehow origami fold it into a couch that you can put anywhere.
Yes.
We never got... That thing was never more than 25% full of air. Never. even
Yeah.
in gusty conditions, like to the point that we stuck a fan on one side of it, like on the inside,
Right.
to be like,
To try and get
come
the
on,
air in.
come on,
It's like,
it's not
seal
filling
it, quick,
anymore.
seal it.
And then sit on it. No, you sit on it. I'm gonna bust my butt sitting on this concrete floor with that.
Yeah, I know exactly that thing. It's like you could run up and down the beach all day trying to like trap air in that.
Yes, but I've seen other people, man. I've seen it in real life. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, because there's no pump valve on it, so you can't use like an air compressor. But they've
Right.
just managed to get it to work. I'm like, yeah, man, you're a professional.
Yeah.
I could never get there, but kudos to you.
Yeah, I know exactly which ones you're talking about too. But I was always kind of afraid of those because it ends up being like an inflated canoe kind of a thing, right? I mean,
Exactly.
right. And I was just afraid that if I was able to get air in it and I did sit down, I would be stuck forever. People would have to, people would be running with suntan lotion trying to, get me out of that thing. But yeah, I know exactly. You could work up quite a sweat just getting that thing filled.
I know. Yeah, I think the first time we spent 30 minutes on it each. Like the first one tried to fill it up, and then they said, I'm not getting this. And then the other person would say, oh, no, give it to me. I've seen the commercials. I know what to do. And then 30 minutes later, ask for your money back.
Yeah. It's almost like you should have a contest at the beach and be like, hey, the first one that can fill this thing up and actually make it keep air inside gets a prize.
Yeah, then they get to charge $50 for all these other idiots who can't fill it up themselves with air.
Right. Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and segue into speaking of workouts and doing stuff.
Smooth segue.
Hey. So Lena and I, after a couple days, decided that our walk yesterday, our weekend walk, we went to an area that we've done before. We typically take this like 3-kilometer walk through the woods, but there is an option to go longer. So, you can go 3 kilometers, you can go 5.7, you can go 8, you can go 10. And it's just, I guess we figured out yesterday, it's just a matter of how far out in the woods it takes you. We had mentally gotten ourselves psyched up and we were ready. And, we went to the spot yesterday and we said, okay, we're doing the 5.5 kilometer outing.
Ooh.
Yeah, it started nice. It started really nice, and we were saying, "Wow, this is great! I love the outdoors. Oh, the woods and you got the trees
air is so
and
fresh.
and then we got
Let's
out
stop and take pictures for the gram.
we got open areas, and then there was some areas that didn't dry up that you can tell people had gone like trail biking, like mountain biking, because but. So we had to crawl, like go up on the sides around in the woods to avoid the mud puddles, and then big open. It was a great walk, but we went as far as we could, and I think that we got maybe 3.5, 4-ish kilometers into this walk when we ran out of trail. We ended up at like
ran out of trail.
Well, because there's markers all along the way, and I'm like, okay, there's the marker. There's the one that we're supposed to follow. There's the one that we're supposed to follow. We get to a point where it just kind of dead ends. There's a lake on the left, and then there's swamplands on the right. And yeah.
You missed the fine print that said, be ready to walk through a swamp.
Well, I mean, had they put up fine print, then we would have known. And we discussed that vigorously on the way back. But... and it was one of those things where we stayed in the area. I'm actually going to post the map of this walk because it's hilarious when you look at it on the GPS. But so we go, and we go around this little cliff area, and then we go back down around. And I'm like, this isn't right, and we go back. So we end up having to go back again. We backtrack, and then we end up like going, and it wasn't quite. It was still nice, but it isn't as nice and scenic as when things are working out well, because then it feels good. But the way back was
every time you see that same tree again, you're like, I hate that tree. I hate that tree.
Exactly.
But I hope you were wearing your like new expensive Gucci and Louis Vuitton outerwear.
I was thinking about it. I was actually, this was going to be my training run before I put on my Gucci, my Gucci kicks.
Exactly. Got to get those muscles built up. Get used to those luxurious fibers.
Yeah, we ended up taking a shortcut. Like the last, I lost complete track of how far it was, but we ended up just hitting a road. We were like, you know what? If we keep on going, I know that there's a road up here. So we ended up walking the last portion, back on the side of the road. Cars are veering off and stuff. But so anyway,
you're not supposed to, even if you're trekking, you're not supposed to walk on the double yellow line, right?
Yeah. Yellow snow and double yellow line. Hey,
hazardous conditions there,
Yeah. Hey, one thing that gets you kind of freaky or freaked out is when you're out there, all of the hunting towers. There's like all of those.
Oh, really?
Those wooden
like deer stands.
Exactly. And there's like I think it's blue tape. They put up some blue tape in the trees around it so that people realize. And you see one, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, cool. One of those. We see them every once in a while. We started getting way out there, and there were a bunch of those hunting.
Well, how do they get? Isn't it parkland where you guys are hiking in? Or do they just don't care?
I don't. It kind of went from like parkland to like duck and
swamps and greater
swamps,
Sweden.
And it was like duck and weave all of a sudden because I was like, hey, I don't know if I should have been wearing all these dark clothes. Next time
you should have been wearing bright orange.
Yeah.
Reflective orange.
Exactly, or those Gucci kicks, because then people would have been up and
see they are functional.
See. Yeah, but that was our walk. Needless to say, our walk today was a lot. We took a little easier walk. Yeah, because we were both grunting and groaning a little bit when we got out of bed in the morning.
Those hip joints, man, they're a killer.
The hips, and then the ankles. Because you're going through like all the uneven stuff. But
the thing too is after you've done like a longer hike or trek than you're used to.
Right.
You've like worked all those little muscles in your foot, like in the middle of your foot under the arch that you typically, you're not used to putting them through the paces.
Yeah.
And then you're sleeping, so your horizontal blood flow gets all funny in the middle of the night. And when you put your feet on the floor in the morning and stand up, it's like that arch just collapsed, and you're like, "Oh my god! Get the butler! I can't get breakfast."
That's pretty. That's in a nutshell. Pretty much this morning when I woke up. And this portion of the podcast was brought to you by Iprian. For all of your aches and pains and muscle.
Yeah, you ain't getting morphine or anything else like that here. It's all.
Hey, but I started when I was out there, your survival instincts. I mean, it's not like we would have gotten stuck out in the, middle of, but there was nobody. We didn't see anybody out there. There was nobody. It was like us and two birds. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, worst case scenario, I brought my reading glasses with me. And I was like, okay, well, I think I can start a fire if I get the right angle, of the sunlight, like through the, I'm thinking like survival stuff.
And through all of this, I'm thinking, this is a classic man, quote unquote, lost in the woods story. I'm imagining Lena right next to you on the phone trying to get a signal for Google Maps and going, babe, like, can you just ask the birds for directions?
Exactly.
No. I know what I'm doing. Yeah. We just have to cross this swamp.
It's right here. Yeah.
It's a good thing we didn't wear our Gucci because it's going to be shoulder deep. So let's just go.
No,
that's what the signs say.
Hey, her cell phone worked out there though. Because that's how we were able to, we did the map thing and we were looking from up above and I was like, hey, this ain't good.
Never tell me the odds.
I was like, who put this lake here? But so that was our little outdoor jaunt.
Oh my god, I love it. Yeah, we've been trying to go outside a little bit here because the weather's been fairly decent in our neck of the woods. But we're on the water and the wind has been kicking lately.
Yeah.
On Friday, I went to pick up Dylan from preschool, and I take the boat across the little canal. And waiting for the ferry to come around, I was getting like physically pushed, standing out on the dock, the pier. I was like, my God, what is going on here? It was like almost tropical storm force gusts.
Right.
I was like, are we in Sweden? What is going on here? And then, of course, like you can't. I try to go to Swedish Google translates like all the daily newspapers around town or the local, but it's all about like nothing's covering the weird weather. I'm like, is this not weird to you? One day we have smoky air, the next day it's like a hurricane, but there's no hurricane.
Yeah.
Where's our weather people?
Yep.
It's snowing sideways.
Exactly. They're like, no, that's just the way it is. That's the way the weather is in April.
Yeah, I didn't have good clothes.
No. That's right. That's right. So I have a question for you. I have a question for you.
Pop quiz.
Yeah, this one actually hasn't popped up in quite a while. But I was when we were at ICA the other day, I decided that I was going to take some money out of the ATM from an American account, from my U.S. account.
Paper money.
Yeah, I know. Call me. And actually, what I was doing was I was going to take it out and stick it right back in the machine again. But for a couple seconds, I was actually going to be holding paper money. But it's that question about the conversion when you when you get money, and every time that's happened, I can't remember if I've gone in and tried to read it and see, okay, what are you supposed to choose? Are you supposed to use what the bank or the ATM says to do, or it says, do you want to charge your bank for the transaction, or should your, and I never, can you remember what you're supposed to do?
Yeah, it depends. So what they've told us, what I've read is like when you're traveling abroad, I believe you're supposed to use the daily conversion and not do it later.
Okay.
There's one that's delayed and there's one that's immediate, and like you can play whatever way if you're an expert on foreign exchange, forex, and all that stuff. But like honestly, the one that makes sense to you, I would say, is the one that whatever tells you this is how much you're going to pay. But yeah, to take stuff out of an ATM and put it back in. First of all the ATMs in this country look like they're going to steal your PIN code because no one ever uses them.
Right.
They've got grime buildup and all that stuff. You're like, man, this is a sketchy looking ATM. Do I really want to use this thing? Right. It hasn't been used in 5 years.
Yeah. Survive a year at COVID and then you get sick using the ATM.
Exactly.
Because there's
I've tried to figure it out with TransferWise and it's just, I don't think there's a good system for anything. When I did, back when in my Miami days, I did an MBA at Florida International University. And they taught us, as part of the finance portion of it, they taught us how to do all the Forex conversions and all that stuff. But I was always doing it the opposite way because you have to convert. When you look at the boards in an airport, when you get to a new country, if you do it one way, it's one number. And if you do it another way, it's a totally different number. But then it's backwards logic. And
Right.
I'm just like, just steal my money and give me my money. You know what I mean?
Because during that second while you're standing there and it's like, do I go with the default? Do I go with just say or since they're giving me an option, are they trying to fool me into thinking that the default is okay, but it's really not okay? I don't know. There's kind of like some Charlie Brown psychology going on right there.
I know. I think the mere fact that you're drawing on your American bank account from another continent, the American bank is racking up fees on you. They're like, yes, please do that. Default or otherwise, we don't care.
Right. Okay, cool. So I'm getting bent over every which way from Tuesday. It's like,
well, is it the financial system? Then yes. Yes, you are.
Yeah. Okay. I think I will stop taking out money. No, but it was like one of those freakish or rare occasions where I was taking
I know there's TransferWise, which I use all the time, which is fairly good because I do like freelance stuff back in the U.S., so they all
Right.
tend to pay on TransferWise. It's the most seamless international payments thing.
Okay.
But then there's also Revolut. I think it's Revolut, and they give you like a debit card that you can use, and it's supposed to be like a kind of. They're trying to operate like a middleman
Right.
in between all the different countries to pay in different currencies and all that stuff. But as long as it's a transaction that will accept a debit card kind of thing.
Okay.
So if there's like stuff back in the States that you have to pay by check or like a bank draft or transfer, it doesn't really work. But for other stuff, it's like a good kind of workaround solution.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Overall, you're screwed.
Okay. It's like either which way, you're going to end up paying. You're
Yeah.
paying somebody.
Yeah, and then whenever we check, I know the kroner tends to stay like a 10-1 to the euro.
Right.
It tends to try and keep that ratio.
Yeah.
But then like the dollar will fluctuate against the euro and all that stuff. So then I'm looking like it used to be closer to 10-1. Now I was looking last week and it's closer to 8 kroners per $1. And then I'm like, wait a minute, is that good to be getting paid in dollars? No, but like it's just it tangles my mind up too many times. And then
Should I be filling my car up?
Yeah, I start thinking of all my taxes and what calendar year, and I'm like, I can't do it anymore. Get me out of here.
Yes. Oh, tax time.
Didn't I just finish my taxes, and they're asking me to do my taxes again? What is going on?
Yeah. Like clockwork. Like clockwork. Yeah, I wanted to thank you for the tip that you gave us, or that you gave everybody.
Tip.
Yeah.
What tip is that?
Lena and I just got done watching the first episode of Anne with an E. Oh. And loved it. Loved it. Can't wait to
So good.
get back in there. And it was exactly what we needed on a Sunday afternoon.
Oh yeah.
So I highly recommend for anybody that's looking for a.
And we
for a
just
series,
Penata and I just finished the whole series ourselves.
Is it like 3 seasons?
3 seasons, yeah.
Okay.
So it was done with I think I read. Well, originally it's a series of books, right?
Okay.
Kind of like the Canadian Little House on the Prairie. Mm-hmm. But it's been done into films and plays and TVs, a bunch different adaptations. And this one was done with like the Canadian BBC.
Right.
So then they partnered with Netflix to do the show, where they licensed it to Netflix. It was kind of like a partnership in production. But then after the 3rd season, they decided to end the show for costs or whatever, based on how much it was going to invest in the story to keep the story going. And I have got to tell you, it's always disappointing when you get into a show and it could go on, but you hear Netflix has canceled it. I don't know anyone else out there, but Netflix always cancels my favorite shows.
Yeah.
Way too soon. But this one was like, it was disappointing that I don't get to watch another episode, but the point in which they ended the series, chef's kiss. So
Okay. So
it
wasn't.
You'll be satisfied.
Okay. Yeah, because that's the worst of some of these shows that get canceled, like in the middle of. They just leave you like standing at the bus stop, going, "All right, now what?" You know?
Yeah, be like, "Hey, I like that. Now what do I have to watch?"
Yeah. Hey, I watched. I don't know if you saw it. Concrete Cowboy, Idris Elba. There's a movie
Idris
that.
Elba. I'm a DJ.
Yeah.
I can do anything.
Idris Elba, he could do whatever, and I'm probably going to watch it. I just really, after Luther, I got hooked. I got hooked.
So
on
Concrete
him,
Cowboy, what's the premise then?
I believe that it is about a community of like urban cowboys in Philly. I guess it's something that
I've seen like people talking about this,
right?
Like articles, reviews of it, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought it was I thought it was really, really well, and I definitely had I definitely got emotional with the movie, so it I mean, it was good.
It's Idris Elba, so
yeah,
he's a barista.
Yeah,
he's a DJ.
Well, I would have been crying either one way or the other. I would have been crying.
He's curing cancer.
Yeah, but I would have started crying just because it was the end of a Idris movie, like, how long do I have to wait for the next one?
Oh my God, yeah, for real. I love it. We're gonna have to check it out though. Yeah, the only cowboys that I know of that before that was the old Miami, the documentary Cocaine Cowboys.
Oh right, yeah.
Which if you haven't seen it, it's eye opening.
Check it.
It's eye opening.
Opening, right.
If you ever want to know like how in the world a city was built on the swamp, there you go.
Hey, when you're done with that, go check out how Las Vegas popped up in the middle of the desert.
Yeah. And then as the trifecta, I would say, then you can watch Tiger King and it'll all make sense.
Yeah. There you go. You just want an overview of American culture. That's like...
Exactly.
Hey, before we wrap up, we got to remind people that we are sneaking up. This is episode 98.
98.
Yes. Which means that in 2 weeks, if the world keeps turning, we should be on episode 100.
Ooh.
Unbelievable. It only feels like we've done, 100 episodes. I mean, but stay tuned for that one.
Yeah, we got to pull out some extra stops.
Oh, it's going to be special.
All right, everyone out there in listener land, that's all the time we have for this week. But if you want more of this amazing goodness and want to know what's going on in Stockholm, Sweden, be sure to head over to our Instagram page. Just search for 2 Guys, 3 Crowns. You'll find us. You'll find a little Björn the Viking there probably as well. And then come back here next time for more 2 Guys, 3 Crowns.